have you ever been so passionate about something, so 100% in your convictions, and maybe you never got to see it come to fruition, but that passion never subsided? And unfortunately, some people maybe gave up on you because they thought maybe that's just a pipe dream and it won't happen. And maybe, just maybe, it takes one person to truly see you for who you are and understand that that passion is going to make that thing happen that one day. And that one person having that faith in you can make all the difference in the world. Well, it seems that is really what Marvel's Wonder Man TV series was really all about. And we are going to get into a full season spoiler discussion of Wonder Man. If you haven't seen the show and you plan on going to, I would say to ignore this section because we are going to be talking about it in full spoiler detail. If you don't care, stick along for the ride because we're going to dive into it. So I just want to start off by gauging your overall feeling of watching the entire 8-episode first season run. Zach, what was your overall impression when you got done watching the first season of Wonder Man?
I was kind of blown away. I am not I'm not someone who's like a huge fan of Wonder Man. My only reference to him was that old Avengers show where they had all like the CD list characters as the Avengers team because they couldn't get the rights to the original ones. And I remember him being on there and having a relationship with Scarlet Witch and just being a cool character. But in between that, I didn't really see him in the comics or anything like that or any other animated projects. So I was very interested to see how they were going to make this work because there's no hype for this show. Like they didn't build up the show really well. So I thought it was like, oh, we don't believe in this. Let's just drop it all at once. And then I watched it. And from episode to episode, I was like, this is so damn good. This should have been a weekly release. If they would have dropped the first 2 episodes and then released this weekly, this would have really built some hype and built momentum leading into Daredevil. Yeah, this was just a really, really great time.
Fantastic. I share a lot of the same sentiments. Someone that might not share some of the same sentiments, because I did get to talk to Chris a little bit about it before the show. Now that you've gotten to sit with it for a little bit, what is, and don't be scared. Just give your honest opinion. What did you feel about the TV series Wonder Man on Disney Plus?
I generally thought it was good, but it wasn't great for me, right? And I think when they were advertising it, they were saying like it's the greatest like MCU series since like Endgame, and I'm just like, wait, did we just forget about Daredevil Born Again season 1? Like, but for me, I guess a part of my opinion is because I'm not really, like what Zach said, I'm not really familiar with the character like as much as I am with Daredevil, so I kind of went into it with an open mind and just letting Marvel show me who Wonder Man is. And I think there were some parts of the show that were like, okay, why did we have to go to a chamoy candy factory in a house? What is the significance of this for the show and the storyline? So that's, I guess, where I kind of stand with it. But overall, it's a great show. I think it's a great segue to the Mutant Saga for sure.
Yeah, I really want some chamoy now after watching that for sure.
Don't get me wrong, I love chamoy candy, man. I love that.
I think the driving force of this show was really the relationship between Trevor and our boy Simon. And I gotta say, Sir Ben Kingsley's acting in this was absolutely fantastic and really effortless. It seems like he's not doing a whole much, but that is the brilliance of him and other great actors, Michael B. Sinners, that they make it look effortless. And the way that Ben Kingsley embodies Trevor Slattery is just so brilliant and so beautiful. This guy that we've seen since Iron Man 2 that was this drunken buffoon who volunteered into a role as a terrorist, and something that has stayed with him throughout, and his brilliant turn and Shang-Chi, and now seeing him again. What a whirlwind and what depth for such a off character in the MCU. To see his trajectory in this kind of way was absolutely fantastic. And then to see his chemistry with Yaya, shout out Oakland, was absolutely fantastic to see. And for me, it was really the driving force of this TV series. And I just got to say, man, they got to do more together because their chemistry is off the charts. And it goes back to really what I was saying in the beginning. You know, this show is really about someone so 100% in his convictions about being an actor in owning the craft, and one day he will make it, and it just hasn't happened yet. And you know, his mother is kind, but honestly has kind of lost a little bit of faith. His brother is not kind and 100% has lost any faith that he's going to make it. And the only person that truly saw his gifts is no longer with us because he passed away within his father. And so he never really had anyone around him to validate his convictions until he met Trevor. And once you meet someone that can validate your convictions, the things that you hold true, that you know are true, even if they haven't happened yet, you 100% know if you were given the opportunity, you will show everyone that you are one of them ones. And because you haven't, people laugh in your face because they just think like he's crazy. His head are in the clouds. But Trevor was really that person to fully validate him and say, I see you for who you are. I have that in me too. That can make all the difference in the world for someone. And that is truly what can make you take that next leap, is just having that one person believe in you. That was really beautiful to see. I want to ask you, Zach, what did you think about Ben Kingsley's representation of Trevor? And what did you think about their overall relationship together throughout the TV series?
This is his best performance as the character so far. It feels less like he's doing this overblown character with an accent and more playing like a real person for the first time. And I love his performances in past films as Trevor Slattery. He was so hilarious in Iron Man 3 and Shang-Chi. But he had so much depth here. And you talk about him believing in Yaya's character, but it was also Yaya believing in him. I think that also helped a ton for him to, start believing in his dream and getting to where his mom thought he could be, right? He also lost the one person that believed in him. So they both had that similarity there, right? And also, Trevor Slattery, he goes off the rails and he saw Simon going in the direction that he did and going off the rails, and he was trying to pull him back as well. So I thought he had an amazing performance in this show, one of the better performances that we had in the MCU. And Yaya also as well. And I think their chemistry was, the show is best when they're together. And, I understand the whole Lamochoy, whatever the candy was called, but I think showing them going through different difficulties together heightened what happens at the end of the series. Because we got to see them go through so many different things, you understand why they're best friends. And I can relate to that because my two best friends, we've been through it all, right? I'm not calling you my best friend if we haven't been through it all. My guy. So for them to go through so much together is just like, all right. Like if they were just like the best friends and they kind of like just jumped from one moment to the next, it might have felt unearned. But I think they did enough in the middle of the season to make it feel earned.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think you're right. I think it goes both ways. And that's the power of friendship, right? Is when you, especially as you get into adulthood and you become, an adult, you lose a lot of friends. And the ones that stay are really the ones that truly accept you for who you are. That doesn't mean you don't piss them off, that they don't think you're a little shit sometimes. That means that through the ups and the downs, they accept you and they're okay with every part of you, because that's what true friendship is. And that's really what this friendship represented in Wonder Man. And it was really beautiful to see. When they have that great scene with Joey Pants, and Joey Pantaniello or whatever, I am mispronouncing her, is very condescending. He's like, "You don't mean that, Joey, Joe Pantaniello," and like says his full name. He's like, "That was super condescending. He is a really good actor and he had a great audition recently." And then Trevor is like, "Oh my God, like someone just validated me." And that is the true power of friendship. And as our boy Kenny says, the power of friendship has defeated many cosmic terrorists. And so that is something really beautiful and something that I really think carried this series through. And thank you, Erica. Thank you for tuning in. I love you, my wife. And so I think that is something that was the driving force. And we've given it a lot of love and we've mentioned a lot of things. I just want to ask you, Chris, what do you think is something that would have put this over the edge for you more if they did a little bit of this or a little bit of that? What do you think what that would have been to really like turn you around, and maybe some other people that felt like it fell short of what they thought the show was going to be or could be?
I want to point out that you guys have made valid and amazing points that actually have turned my opinion around of the show already.
I love it.
I never really took a step back and analyzed it from a sense of like, you know, Simon learning to believe in himself, Simon learning, that he can lean on Trevor, and so forth. But I think to put it over the edge to just like blow my mind is if they had a post-credit scene that had like an introduction to the mutant saga or someone in the mutant universe, because
or where he's going next, something like
exactly
that, right?
exactly, instead of just leaving it as just that's
A
it
one-off.
done.
Yeah.
That would be my answer for that. Yeah, just to give us something to like look forward to as opposed to just him flying. Anyways, am I allowed to say that? Are we allowed to talk about that?
Kenny did not see the beginning of this segment where we said we were going to talk in full spoiler discussion. So, as a reminder to all our friends tuning in, this is a full spoiler discussion of the full season 1 of Wonder Man.
Yeah.
Lo siento, Kenny.
Lo siento mucho.
So I just want to talk a little bit about what Chris was alluding to, and that was the end of this series, which I thought was very masterfully done. And I thought that this really, the end started when Simon found out the truth about Trevor and how Trevor came into his life. And as we know, when you start friendships and you're betrayed by someone that you were getting really close with, it can hurt. And it can hurt so much that you blow out an entire studio because you can't control your emotions, and your emotions exacerbate your powers. And we've all been there with our superpowers. So I totally get it. But in this scene in particular, this was the crux of where this show was going to go in the last episode, if you will. And I thought it was really beautifully done. You find out the truth about Trevor through this expose from the Times. Yes, Trevor, that is the only New York Times, as they state it. And we see the betrayal in Yaya's eyes, masterfully played by Yaya. And we see that his powers are so connected to his emotions. And he has this epic scene where he finally loses it without control, and his powers explode the soundstage that they were on. And it was absolutely masterful the way they did it. And then after that, we get the scene where we think that they're coming for Simon, and we have this beautiful scene where our boy Trevor calls Wonder Man and tells him pretty much, I am going to finally take full ownership of the things I've done. And I'm not going to let you pass up this opportunity because I know you'll make it, in such, words. And we finally see the Mandarin come back after all these years. And honestly, I never saw it coming that he was going to come back. And it was so well done. It was such a full circle moment for Trevor, such a off-brand X-list character for Marvel to have this moment of true ownership of the things he's done in the MCU and the selflessness to put his friend forward. And it was just such a beautiful thing. And I just want to ask you, Zach, what did you think of these final moments of one, Simon finally losing his cool and seeing a true form of his powers, and two, Trevor finally owning the stuff that he's done and putting himself in front of the bullet, per se, for Simon and letting Simon fulfill his dreams?
So when the scene where he finally lets off, right? They built it up beautifully throughout the series, showing him like spaz out in smaller moments. So when it finally exploded, it was like meaningful to the story and him emotionally. And then like where it was, he finally got to his dream and he blew it up. I thought that is just a beautiful way to make that. And I gotta give props to Daniel Destin Cretton for guiding this, because he was a showrunner on this. I think I might have said his name wrong. The second thing I was thinking about was the fact that Wonder Man is in a love triangle with Scarlet Witch and Vision. And I see why she would be attracted to a character like this, because her power is also attached to her emotions. And I can kind of see them having that understanding with each other, but I also understand why it probably doesn't work, because they both can't just be going off exploding together. Like Vision brings her down and grounds her. And I think Wonder Man needs to find somebody that can do that for him. So that was my next thing, because I think eventually maybe we'll get Wonder Man and Scarlet Witch with each other. Now that it looks like White Vision is like moving on and maybe making that robotic family that we've seen from the comics. I thought Trevor finally taking responsibility for the things he's done, because he's never really done it in the show, it seemed like, or even like in Shang-Chi when he was talking about it, it's always someone else's fault, even though he's the one that continued to do things even though he knew it was wrong. And also, like, it goes back to the thing of him seeing himself inside of Simon and going, look, you're not past the point of no return. I am. And I'm going to take this bullet, take responsibility for what I've done, and make sure you get to do and live out your dream in the best way possible. So I thought that was absolutely beautiful.
You got to keep going. No, I'm just kidding. No, I totally agree. I think it was masterful. Chris, I want to ask you, as we wrap up our spoiler discussion, where do you want to see Wonder Man pop up next, and where do you think we'll see Wonder Man pop up next?
Honestly, I don't see him anywhere else besides in the upcoming phase for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is the Mutant Saga, which I think that they're going to introduce post Secret Wars. I think so. I don't think we'll see him in
They
Doomsday.
didn't say he was a mutant.
Oh,
They
I mean,
didn't say it.
if you know the comics, what's it called? He has the was it the Mutant X gene? I forget.
Yep.
He's
Mm-hmm.
created by Helmut Zemo in like a science experiment or something like that. But that's as far as I know. But yeah, I do believe he is the perfect segue to that. And I think, the Russo brothers or Feige will find a way to bring it back and connect him to the future storylines.
I hope so. I
Hmm.
really hope so.
Me too. Me too.
Zach, where do you think that we will see our boy Simon next?
I think we'll see him in Secret Wars. I do think that in Doomsday, a lot of the big characters are going to get taken off the map. And a lot of these smaller characters that they've been building up through shows and movies are going to have to come together and kind of help out. And that's how you form them together and make them important so that this journey that we've been going on through these last couple phases makes sense. Because if you just don't bring back Moon Knight, you don't bring back Miss Marvel, you don't bring back the Eternals in any meaningful way where they do something, and it's kind of like, what are we doing, right? So I do think we'll have like an X-Men versus Avengers thing going on in Doomsday. Something happens there where our main Avengers that we know and love and have been in the MCU for 20 years are taken off the map. Maybe not killed. I'm pretty sure some people will die, but I think that's where like the champions will come, the Thunderbolts, the Defenders,
West Coast Avengers, maybe.
West Coast Avengers, a bunch of other different teams will start establishing those teams together. And now that the MCU doesn't just have to worry about just the Avengers brand, we'll have different brands, and that can make a lot of money. And you have all these different characters, and then they have space for them. So I do think he will show up. I've seen articles and stuff like that from places saying that the plan is for him to show back up because he's so powerful. We haven't even seen the extent of his powers yet.
Right.
So a character like him, a character like Captain Marvel, a character like Sentry, maybe need to be the ones to stop a Doom. So yeah, I think he will show up one more time in not Doomsday, but maybe in Secret Wars.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, that will do it for the spoiler discussion of Wonder Man Season 1. Drop a comment below. Let us know what you guys think. Did you like Wonder Man? Did maybe it leave a little bit to be desired? Let us know your thoughts.